The Hawks have the number 1 pick for the first time since 1975 and for the second time in their franchise history. Now, if you don't already know, I am a Hawks fan, so this video kinda hits home for me. I just want to stop by and say that I will be streaming the NBA draft this Thursday, or is it Wednesday? I'm not sure, but I will be streaming it. We have a fresh overall pick, and I want to get my reaction out to you guys. I'm gonna have a guest with me who knows a little bit more about college basketball than I do, who's more of a basketball fan, whereas to me, I'm more of an NBA fan. He's gonna be here with me. So make sure you sub up to the channel and turn on those post notifications so you don't miss that. Come through, say what's up, do what you gotta do. You can leave after, but say what's up for a little bit. See my reaction to the first pick, and I'll see you guys there. And I've been feeling indifferent about us having the number 1 pick, mainly because of the fact that this is the weakest draft class in a very long time. A lot of people tend to hate when you say that because when you look at the last couple of quote-unquote weak draft classes, they always produce multiple all-stars. But I've always hated that argument because I don't think that's what people mean when they say this is a weak draft class. There's no doubt in my mind that this draft class is going to produce a couple of all-stars. But let's look back at 2013, one of the most infamous quote-unquote weak draft classes in recent memory. That draft class produced an all-star in Victor Oladipo, an all-NBA player in Rudy Gobert, and the top 20 player of all time in Giannis Antetokounmpo. Oladipo's all-star stint was kind of short, so we're going to look at the two main commodities in this draft in Rudy Gobert and Giannis Antetokounmpo. Giannis was drafted at number 15, and Rudy Gobert was drafted at number 27. So what I'm trying to say is, if the elite talents in this draft are at pick 15 and pick 27, then in my eyes, it's a weak draft class. A strong draft class, you should be able to look at the top 3 guys and say, those dudes have real all-star potential. Take it from just last year's draft class. Victor Wembanyama, Brandon Miller, Scoot Henderson, they all had all-star potential and they all went top 3. Even if all 3 end up becoming busts, throughout the draft process, we thought this was a strong class. When you have a high pick, a top 5 pick, you're drafting a player that you expect to come in and turn your franchise around. You're not drafting a role player, which is what a lot of these guys project to be. If you look at the top 5 and most of the draft class in these recent years, most of these dudes had real all-star projections. Now, did they become all-stars? No, but they had all-star projections, and you don't really see that in this year's draft. But like I said, somebody in this class will end up becoming an all-star, and probably so more All-NBA. But let's get back to the Hawks. So the Hawks the last couple of years have been a play-in team after the magical 2021 Eastern Conference Finals run. After that run, they decided to run it back, and they have made a couple of questionable moves ever since then and haven't been back to the promised land since. So after another year in the play-in and finally not making the playoffs, the Hawks were in the draft lottery and got the number 1 pick despite 3% odds. Now, if you look back in time, the Hawks have not had the greatest draft history. The only other time that the Hawks have had the number 1 pick was in 1975, and they picked David Thompson, an NBA legend. But at that time, there was still another basketball league called the ABA, and the Denver Nuggets drafted David Thompson too. So now it was on David Thompson to figure out which league he was going to play for. He was thinking about both cities, so he took a visit to each one of them, and when he landed in Denver, the Nuggets officials took him to the Colorado Mine Company, where he raved about scoring a 4-inch steak. So when he arrived to Atlanta, he was under the impression that he was going to be treated with royal treatment as well, like they did in Denver. But the Hawks coach didn't take him out to eat. He took them to McDonald's, and he got him a Big Mac, a fry, a soft pie, and a drink. He said he was already leaning Denver, but that kind of sealed the deal for him. He went on to become a 5-time All-Star and a 2 All-NBA member in a span of only 9 years. And that's just one story. In 2001, the Hawks drafted Pau Gasol and traded him away to Vancouver. And in 2005, they drafted Marvin Williams over Chris Paul. So I will be honest, with Trae Young becoming 25 and this year in my eyes being a weak draft class, I am terrified. Trae Young has been in trade rumors all year and has been on podcasts saying that he wants to win no matter where it is. And though I don't think he'll be traded this year, I think this is the Atlanta Hawks' last chance to try and build an actual team around him that has promise and potential. Now, believe it or not, I do think the Hawks have a really good number of assets to try and retool this team around. DeJounte Murray just came off a year where he averaged 22.5 points and 6 assists and showed that he's still a very good NBA player. He just didn't work next to Trae Young. DeAndre Hunter, who is a 3-and-D wing, should be shot. AJ Griffin had a really good rookie season, but wasn't able to find his way on the court his second year, so maybe some teams could be interested in that. And then you have Clint Capella and Onyeka Okongwu. Clint Capella has heavily regressed since he arrived in Atlanta, and Onyeka Okongwu is an undersized center who's been waiting his turn to start for the Atlanta Hawks. And I think there's a lot of value for whichever one you decide to trade, because there are teams that are looking for center play that would take Clint Capella's big body and rebounding ability right now, and there are some teams that would use a young center like Onyeka Okongwu, a more modern day type of center. Now let's talk about the number 1 pick. With this draft class being so weak, there's honestly a number of different things that you can do with this. The Hawks are not currently trying to break it down and rebuild yet. They're using this number 1 pick to retool the team. you can use that number 1 pick for a player to help you right now. You can make a big trade because even if it is a weak draft class, the number 1 pick is still very valuable. Or you could trade one of the centers that you have on your roster right now in Clinton and Onyeka, and you can pick up Alex Sarr or Donovan Clingan. We all know Trey's weaknesses, and we all know the Hawks' weakness, their defense. The Hawks are one of the worst teams on defense this past season, despite having 4 starters that the casual fan would generally think can play some good defense. DeJounte Murray has regressed heavily since the San Antonio days. DeAndre Hunter missed most of the season. Jalen Johnson was just starting to play for the first time this year. And Clint Capella has also regressed heavily since that 2021 season where the Hawks defense was actually alright. But in Trae Young's time as an Atlanta Hawk, the Hawks have never really been a good defense, but they've always been a top 10 offense despite not having that much talent around him. Trae Young is such a good player by himself on the offensive side of the ball that you will be a top 10 offense. All you have to do as a general manager is make sure the other 4 spots are quality defenders. Alex Sarr is more of your modern day big. He has a lot more potential. He's 7'1", he can run the floor. He can switch on the perimeter defenders, and he has a little bit of touch around the rim. And Donovan Clingan, he's more of your modern day big. He sets really good screens and he protects the rim really, really well. He was the anchor of that UConn team that won 2 national back-to-back titles. I think they both fit Trae Young's game really well. I personally like Alex Sarr more, but I also do like Donovan Clingan, and the Hawks have shown more interest in Donovan Clingan as well. They've also shown a lot of interest into Zachary Richardson, who is your prototypical 3-and-D wing. He's 6'10", he can shoot and handle the ball and defend a little bit. I think Donovan Clingan is the most NBA ready out of all of these dudes, but I think Alex Sarr will end up becoming the best NBA player out of all these dudes. Now me, I am no NBA scout, so whatever the professionals, whatever the dudes that get paid to do this do, I will be in trust of it. Let me know what you think in the comments. But in my opinion, this is Atlanta's last chance. If they can't figure it out this year, they will end up hitting the reset button, and I'm going to have to sit through another rebuild, which I don't know if I can do. And based off of our draft history in the last couple of years, no matter what the Hawks do, it will probably be the wrong pick. That's just how the Hawks run. Let me know what you think about this draft. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing and join the family. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. I can't do it without y'all. Thank y'all so much for watching, but I'm out, man. Peace.